Hi folks, I'm Matt and welcome to My Expanding Universe, a show where I go through the... What do you mean, what am I wearing? Duh, a unicorn T-Rex with a space cat riding it. You don't even wear clothes, what do you care? Today we're going to review Book 5 in the Fate of the Jedi series, and it's one of my favorites in the series too. This one's called Allies by Christy Golden. Now, in this one, it begins where the last book led off. Luke, Ben, Vestari, surrounded by Sith ships. But it's not what you think it is. Of course, it felt like Backlash ended the season. You're like, oh no, what's going to happen in the next season? And the next season, it's not really a big showdown that you thought it would be. Basically, the Lost Sith want to work. They propose an alliance with Luke. Abeloth, they realize over the years, wants control, and they can't defeat her. They know that she's afraid of Luke, so Luke, you beat her, and we'll help you out. Now, all the while, the Sith plan to betray Luke afterwards and kill him after he defeats Abeloth. That's the plan. In fact, in the Sith emissary group that comes to visit the Jade Shadow, while Luke is talking to I don't know, one of the great High Lords, I can't think of his name right now, but Vestari's dad comes to speak to his daughter, and he speaks in the ancient Sith tongue that Luke can't understand, but Luke records it, for later on. And basically what he's telling Vestari is, yeah, we're going to kill this sucker after he gets Abeloth, then we're going to take the galaxy. And also her father realizes that Ben Skywalker has taken a shining to Vestari. Oh, that boy likes you? Good. Use that. Use that against him. Gain his trust. You have him side with you. Convince the father that we're on the level, and just use it. I know you don't. Just lead him on. It's kind of evil, but this is the Sith we're talking about, right? And so after he leaves, Luke's like, okay, well, for this mission, I need a ship. Where can I go to get a ship? Lando, baby. So he contacts Lando. And Lando is in this every so often. It feels like they didn't want to make him they wanted to acknowledge he's there because they've been ignoring him for so long, but they didn't give him that much to do in between. I mean, sure, he has some adventures here and there, but I want more Lando. I want Lando being the center of the story. But he asks Lando for a ship, and then he sends the recording to 3PO to translate because he really wants to know what that conversation was. Now, finally, 3PO gets to use his purpose, right? He's a droid that is familiar with over 6 million forms of communication with other languages. So yeah, he's in linguistics. He needs to decipher what is being said here. And of course, 3PO being 3PO is definitely going to uncover what that recording said. And this is Luke's proof to give to Ben to say, hey, look, Vestari isn't your friend. She's just some girl leading you on. She's catfishing you, Ben. Even though I don't think that's the right definition of catfish. But anyway, she ain't no good for you, boy. Meanwhile, Jaina is trying to get Jag to help her out in her mission to, overthrow or, take down Dala. Jag can't do that. He represents the Empire. They need to have good relationships with the Galactic Alliance. He's like, Jaina, I really want to help you. And she's like, well, you need to help get Tahiri off the hook. He's like, I can't do that. I'll get her a good lawyer though. He's trying to do what he can, but his hands are really tied because he's running the Empire right now. Well, Jaina just gets fed up with him, goes, fine, takes her little engagement ring and flings it across the room at him or whatever. Just gives it back to him, breaking the hearts of every Star Wars EU fan out there but me. I was waiting to see the next chapter, Zek walking in going, hi, you need some help with this dollar problem? Anyway, that was only my dream. That did not happen. But I was like, oh, they're not going to get together now? Maybe Zek. But you didn't see Zek in this storyline, really. So I knew he wasn't going to come back in. But they have to break up now. It's time for them to break up. It's like a, CW show. Break up, get back together. Break up, get back together. It's good. It's good fodder for the Star Wars EU fans. They were eating it up in the forums going, oh, they'll get back together. I know they will. I was going, never. Big Daddy Zek's coming. I was such a troll in the forums. But anyway, so they have to break up because of that. Now, meanwhile, Ben Skywalker, you kind of feel bad for Ben. He really loves Vestari. He thinks thinks she's turning around. He's had conversations with her. Dad, you don't understand. Of course, that recording is damning evidence against Ben that Vistari is using him. But Ben just can't help it. There's just something about her he feels is right. Now, the Ben Vistari, you know, love interest storyline, I actually enjoyed. I actually liked that. I thought it was funny, you know, because, I mean, what's Luke getting mad at? I mean, Mara Jade was the Emperor's hand for crying out loud, and you went out with her. I mean, sure, it took years later, but you know what I mean. People can change, but Luke's being a dad now. He's like, no, I don't want you mixed up with that Sith woman. What's a derogative term for a Sith woman? Just Sith? The Sith seductress. But let me get back to my favorite part in this book. Jaina goes on a mission with Ben and Vistari and everyone, and this other, he never was a Jedi. He was one of the Jedi children, but he never grew up to be a Jedi. And he's been in it for a couple books. He's a relatively small character, but they're all there on this planet of Platoon, and with this other he's force sensitive. He's not a Jedi though. He goes crazy. And there's an involvement with a sacred fountain there on the planet. Now, this is significant. This is kind of weird, really, but supposedly the reason why the Platoons are enslaved to the Hutts forever is the Hutts ensured them that nothing bad would happen to the fountain. The fountain would not be defiled. Well, it is. Because of this instance that happens, something happens to the fountain. So the Platoons are outraged, and you know they've been enslaved for a while. It's time for them to throw off their shackles, you know, go up against the Hutts and say, no, we are not going to be your slaves anymore. We're going to be free people now. Well, the Hutts are going nuts, right? This is free help. This is labor. This is slave labor. They don't want to get rid of that. So they have to ask the Jedi, Jaina, and Lando to intercede for them. So both parties agree that Jaina and Lando will make the right decision. You're thinking, oh, my Lanta, they are going to free the slaves. Finally, the Hutts won't have these slaves, right? This was mentioned as a problem, I think, at the beginning of the book, that there's still slavery in the galaxy, and we need to do something about it as the Galactic Alliance. So now you're like, oh, well, here's the part where they're trying to, you know, move forward. Well, what happens is Jaina and Lando make the shocking decision to rule in favor of the Hutts, because they figure, first off, yeah, the Hutts couldn't have prevented this, but at the same time, this is going to cause a lot of upheaval right now. This is something we don't need. I mean, this is not ideal. We don't want to go. Of course, the Hutts are super happy that they ruled in their favor. The Platoons are really upset because they really thought a Jedi would, you know, free them. And it's an awesome story. It's an awesome. It blew me away because, like I said, I did not see it coming. I didn't see it coming. I hope I didn't spoil this for you. I hope you've already read this before watching my reviews, but I was shocked. I was shocked when they gave that ruling. I was like, what? But I get it. It would upset the whole society. They didn't know what was going to happen. The Galactic Alliance can't handle that right now because it's breaking apart at the seams. So they had to make that ruling the way they did. Wow, what a story. Now, if you've seen any of my other videos before, I've kind of mentioned where I think Christie Golden was going with this. I think there was going to be a slave uprising, and eventually the Galactic Alliance was going to end slavery, especially in Hutt space, and the Hutts were going to band together, and they were going to become the menace, because, you know, they bought off a lot of the senators. They're going to, you know, make things, you know, work things into the Senate. They probably have their own little, you know, armies. They're going to combine to one big armada that can take on the Galactic Alliance Navy. Who knows how powerful the Hutts are and how deep their roots go and how many people they've infiltrated over the years who will be double agents for them. I thought it was a great idea for a story, and when I pitched it to Troy Denning, I said, is this where Christie Golden was going? And he went, you know, I have no idea where Christie came up with that fountain idea. That was just totally her idea. She wanted to do it. It wasn't part of the big story arc. It was just something that she wanted to do. But he said, I have no idea where she was going with that. That's what he said. I missed my chance to ask Christie Golden where she was going with that, because I did meet her once, but all I did was waste a question about the Sword of the Jedi, to which she went, what book? I didn't make a book called Sword of the Jedi. Whatever. Going back to Luke, after he has discovered that Sinkhole Station has been destroyed, he encounters Abeloth. Ah, here's the confrontation we've all been waiting for. And so they're doing battle here, and Luke's getting pretty beat up here. But one of the shocking things is Abeloth can take on any image. She takes on the image of Callistia. Now, You know me, I'm a big Callistia Luke fan, but it gives Luke pause for a minute, but he still beats Abeloth, you know, and I was like, oh, that's nice, you know, and I was like, that's nice, you know, they brought back a name of a character we haven't heard of, and we don't know where she is for a while. But she brought on that face just to kind of pause and kind of, you know, stall Luke. But does she know Luke's heart? Does she know what's going on? How'd she know what Callistia was? That's going to be revealed later on in the series. But when Luke defeats Abeloth, that basically cures all the Jedi. A lot of the Jedi are cured now, meaning they don't have that connection. They're not going crazy. Abeloth's not controlling them, and so they're fine. They're better, and so there's a small victory for the Jedi, meaning Abeloth is defeated for now, and the illness is going away, but not completely. So there's two other scenes that I skipped over here that I want to talk about right now because I do absolutely love allies. There's a scene here where it's at the very end of a chapter, there's a lady, and they say an old lady, like in her upper 90s, even maybe 100, and she's decrepit. She's called Akmeda, and she knows how to get information to people. So she's going to get information, and basically that's it. It's at the end of the chapter. Like, okay, but not if you're me. When I heard the name, I went, no way, no way. Akmeda is the name of B. Author's character in the Star Wars Holiday Special. It's one of the very few references, besides Lumpy, besides Chewbacca's family, it may be one of the only references that we get from the Holiday Special, the outside of Chewbacca's family. That was really impressive, that she's a character. Now, if you haven't seen the Holiday Special, good for you. If you have, my favorite scene, I'm not joking, I love B. Author. I love her song. I think it's fun. I love her in the cantina, you know, pouring drinks in that dude's head or whatever. I mean, it's kind of hokey, but that's probably my favorite scene. So to bring her character back in this one, just for one little thing, was a nice wink to the Holiday Special, something you rarely, if ever, saw. And again, just like I said in an earlier surprise cameo or surprise continuity there with the Dark Star campaign, this was another one that I extremely enjoyed. But my favorite scene, I really do think it's my favorite scene in Fate of the Jedi, is, or one of them, there's a lot of good scenes now I think about it, but this is a great one. You see Raynar Thol, who is still, you know, he's, remember he was the guy who got captured by the Killiks. He got kind of turned to an insectoid, and through Legacy of the Force, he's really been in healing. He comes out later at the end of the storyline, but a lot of times he's trying to get back to his human self. Well, now we see a little bit more of Raynar Thol in this book. He's not himself. He is in his right mind, but he's not himself, really. He just doesn't understand human emotions as much, and so he's still trying to learn what it is to be human a little bit. But he is good friends with Win Dorvin. They've always been friends, and they always have lunch on the steps of the Capitol together. Well, this is back when tensions are at its worst right now, and there's a Jedi in the streets. Jedi are the enemy, right? So, Wynn realizes that it's Raynar Thol sitting there for their weekly lunch or monthly lunch. I can't remember when they do this, but he's sitting on the steps ready to have lunch with Wynn. And Wynn's like, oh no, they're going to kill him, you know, because they have triggers at the ready and they're about to blow him away. Now, Raynar doesn't know what's going on. So there's a great tense scene where Wynn sits down with him with his lunch, and they sit there and eat lunch as he's quietly trying to explain to Raynar what's about to, you know, what needs to happen to avoid conflict, because Raynar just doesn't realize what the situation is going on. It's wonderful. It's one of my favorite scenes in the whole series, and Allies brought that scene to it. Christy Golden did a great job with this series. I used to think that she was the weak one out of these three authors, but going back through and looking at seeing what happened in which books, a lot of my favorite connections and stuff and favorite storylines were brought to by Christy Golden. So, which is why I was really excited that she was going to write the Sword of the Jedi book that had a cover, had a release date, and she said she never wrote it at all. Anyway, I'm over it. All right, folks, I'll see you next time with another video.